Ladies and gentlemen, Barry C here with another cryptocurrency video, and we are in for a very exciting couple of months with XRP, with the rest of the crypto market. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gents, for those of you who have followed me for quite some time, you heard me talk about this notion that we were more than likely going to see the first leg up of the bull run, October heading into November of 2024. Now, this did indeed play out the way I thought it would. Now, based on my planning and based on what I'd seen happen in previous bull runs, I was anticipating the second leg up of the bull run to kick in around the second week of January. That didn't happen. And like with any plans that have a lot of variables, you have to be able to pivot and adapt. And so when I look at how the rest of the year could potentially play out, there was a lot of similarities to what we saw happen in 2017, which is typically August, September, maybe even October, when things started to get really exciting. And I think we're going to be in for a very similar time frame for 2025, which means that from now until the next couple of months, we could see the beginning of some very parabolic price action, in particular for XRP. Now, ladies and gents, we've already seen XRP rally from 50 cents to over $1, $2, $2.50, $2.60, $2.70 in November, in the space of a month, even less than a month. And so if we start seeing the rest of the altcoins start rallying hard within the confines of an alt season, then we could see a lot more money entering into the space, which could also have a volatile effect on XRP, moving it rapidly up to that next level. And I could see that next level being around $10 US, potentially even higher, up to $20, depending on how much money enters the entirety of the crypto space. Because here's the thing, ladies and gents, there is always that extreme volatility when it comes to the alt seasons. And we've seen that play out twice before. And we've yet to see it play out in 2025, which means there's a lot of room for XRP to grow, especially because there's been a lot of positive news around Ripple, around XRP, and we've seen XRP lead the market in November of 2024. We've seen XRP lead the market as of now. It's leading the way, and HBAR is also pretty close behind. And ladies and gents, not financial advice, but this is why I talk repeatedly in numerous videos about having a plan, short-term, mid-term, long-term, because we don't know how parabolic things could get over the next couple of months. What we can do is go back and look at the previous bull runs and the previous alt seasons, and we can see that numerous cryptos have far exceeded all anticipated price points. They've exceeded all expectations, and we could find ourselves in a very similar boat over the next couple of months. Now, when it comes to XRP, we've seen XRP go absolutely parabolic in 2017 heading into 2018. In the space of a year, it went from less than 1 cent a coin to over $3 a coin. It went so high it actually flipped Ethereum and Bitcoin to take the number one place in ranking market cap wise within the crypto space for a short period of time, but it's still a life-changing move in profits. To go from 1 cent to over $3, that's 100x. So here we are then in 2025, and we've also got a bull run, in 2020 and 2021, where we were on a really good price point movement for XRP. It went from 15 cents to 19 cents to $1, $1.65, $1.80. And then the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit was announced, and so you had top-tier exchanges delisting XRP, which obviously stunted the price point potential and the growth potential for XRP, because you had a lot of fear, a lot of negativity in the market, and that was fair enough, because when you have these top-tier exchanges delisting XRP due to legal uncertainty and non-clarity, then yeah, people are going to panic. But what that meant was we were robbed of a new all-time high for XRP, because realistically, when bull runs come along and we see the majority of cryptos double in price. And so XRP should have easily gone from 15 cents to $1, $2, $3, at least up to $5, $6, maybe even more. And we were deprived of that. And so here we are now in 2025, and XRP is eyeing off $4. It's very, very close. But then when we see the rest of the market start moving in that rapid succession upwards, that's when we see XRP claiming the ground it should have done back in 2020 heading into 2021. So ladies and gents, when we look at where XRP could potentially go, whether that's back to $10, like heading up to $10, whether it's 15, whether it's more, once again, it's the idea of having a plan. And where a lot of people have made mistakes in the past is they get to the beginnings of an alt season, they get to the height of an alt season, and they don't have a plan. And the mistakes they made can either be not having built a position that allows you to take profits, or second guessing your take profit points, so you get to the other end of an alt season and a lot of people find themselves going, I wish I'd taken profits. And this is exactly what happened in November of 2024, where a lot of people, whether they've been holding XRP for quite some time, whether they were new to a space with XRP, they didn't take profits. And a lot of people were obsessed with this notion of going, well, I'm going to wait for $100 or $1,000, maybe even more. But then they were in a position last year or even now where they could have actually taken just a little bit to put in their back pocket until things started getting even crazier. And look, once again, not financial advice, but everyone's going to have a plan that works for them. What works for me may be entirely different to someone else. But when I look at the majority of sentiment when we get to the other side of the alt season, 99% of people say they wish they'd taken profits. And that's a very, very difficult lesson to learn when you're on the back end of that, because now you have another 3.5, 4 years to wait until another alt season comes along. And yes, XRP is the crypto that has the potential of a utility run outside of the volatility of an alt season. Whether that happens in a couple of years, maybe even more, there's no blueprint for a utility run within the crypto space. It's not like we can look back on Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other cryptos and go, look, that's where banks said they would use Bitcoin, or that's where banks said they would use Ethereum. It's never happened before. All we can look back and see is the parameters of a 4-year cycle, which is the Bitcoin halving event, the post-halving bull run, the alt season, and then the bear market. And that's unfortunately the realm in which we all have to work in right now until the utility run kicks in, which is why it can be such a detrimental thing if you don't necessarily act on a plan. And then you get to the end of the alt season, and look, here's the thing, the alt season may go on till early next year. It could wrap up by the end of this year. It may only last for a month. We don't know yet. But it's always that frustrating thing to be on the other side of an alt season and realize the opportunities you had and that they weren't taken. And that's why it's so important to have a plan, to have a conservative plan, have a crazy plan. Look at XRP and go, what if it hits $5 or $10 or $20? What if it hits $100? Go crazier. What if it hits $1,000 in a couple of months? I'm not saying that it will, but it's really important to have those plans in place. Because with crypto, anything can happen. In alt seasons, we've seen prices that so far exceed any type of expectation that people are left with these amazing take profit points. And the amount of people who haven't even planned for that, it's incredible. And here's the thing as well. There may be situations where, let's say you're taking profit by selling on an exchange. Have you even looked into what you'd have to do to take hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars worth of profit on an exchange? Most exchanges require a whole bunch of additional information if you're operating and trading at that level, because it's a way of them combating money laundering to make sure you are who you say you are and that you have the ability to provide the necessary information, and also, let's say you're taking your profit into dollars or whatever your native currency. Have you checked with your banks or checked wherever you're putting your money to make sure you can transfer hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars worth of profit? These are all things that people haven't factored into until it's too late. And it's really frustrating to try and navigate all of these things when you have hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars on the line. It's a lot easier to do that now when there's less money at stake. And once again, not financial advice, ladies and gents. This is something that I've learned the hard way, being in crypto since 2016 till now, getting into these positions where you're now faced with a lot of profit-taking opportunities, and then realizing that I haven't thought about necessary steps to actually realize those profits. And look, you learn the hard way, but sometimes it means you are waiting for a couple of years until the next alt season when you actually do take some profits, or you are in the middle of taking profits and maybe the market shifts and suddenly instead of $100,000 of profits, now you got 50,000 because the price of the crypto has changed so quickly. And that's the thing, ladies and gents, the volatility can be instantaneous. It can spike up, it can spike down. There's no telling what could happen. Once again, having that plan in place is so important. But it's also important to not restrict yourself, especially when it comes to XRP. And I mean that in the positive and the negative. You don't want to be in a situation where you say to yourself, well, XRP could never go above $4 or never go above $5, so I'm going to plan for that scenario and that scenario alone. So let's say you say to yourself, well, I'm going to take profits at $4 and that's it. And then you sell 100% of your bag. And then a year later, banks announce they're utilizing XRP and now it's $100 or $1,000. That would be a very frustrating situation. But on the flip side, let's say you turn around and go, well, XRP is absolutely hitting $1,000 and that's the only way I'm taking profits. And then the next 5 to 10 years, it finally hits that price point, but now you're waiting 5 or 10 years. And that could be something to consider as well, because there may be other profit points along the way that could absolutely be life-changing. As I said, everybody has a plan that works for them. So start thinking about that now. Like I said, ladies and gents, not financial advice, but we want to put ourselves in the best position possible so when things start getting exciting, we can take that life-changing profit every step of the way. Now, ladies and gents, not financial advice. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you're curious about the crypto as a whole outside of XRP, consider becoming a Patreon. Click the link in the description below, head across to my Patreon page, and consider becoming a Barry C VIP. There you'll have access to all the cryptos I hold, as well as my buy, my sell, and take profit signals in real time.